What is up, Jabronis? JJ back here from Run Pure Bets, talking a little live Major League Baseball. And I know what you're thinking. It's a baseball show. Why does this jerk off have a Vikings hat on and a Vikings shirt? Well, look, the live shows haven't exactly been good the last two, so change things up a bit, go with a little Vikings swag. And the hat moving forward, which is kind of a new wrinkle. We often as D-bags like to wear our hats backwards. It's all about the forward game these days. So yesterday dropped the play with the full game over, White Sox and Royals. Watching the game, not my best look for sure. Sure, a lot of guys left on base and opportunity squandered, but didn't exactly get a lot of help from the umpire either. Given corners on all sides, an extra inch or so, but overall, definitely not my best look by any means. So it moves those solo vids to 8-3. Yeah, 8-3 should be about 4.5 units to the positive. So again, nothing really to cry about, complain about, but overall, looking to bounce back here. As always, I'll run through the slate. I'll give you some looks in each game along with a best bet. Could almost guarantee you guys will not really like the best bet today, but just all about value. But anyway, we could just dive right in. First game up, St. Louis Cardinals, Colorado Rockies. Carlos Martinez versus Chichi Gonzalez. Now, if you guys watch these live shows enough, you probably know I'm really not a Carlos Martinez guy. I know he's kind of rounded himself out a bit over his last few starts. And look, Chichi Gonzalez, yeah, sure, a decent ERA, but I think everybody knows he's not exactly somebody you love targeting in any facet. Now, what I find most interesting about this game is Jack Flaherty yesterday starts against I think Austin Gomber. I think he started yesterday against, and the line was very similar to this line, which is very interesting to me because Jack Flaherty warrants the line like that. Carlos Martinez does not. So if you're talking just true value, I have some value on the number in favor of the Rockies here. But if you're looking for a stronger lean, I think the Rockies go over their number today. Now the problem is their total of runs. The problem is the weather is not exactly in favor of runs to be scored. A little chilly, potential rain, wind blowing in at like 13, 14 miles an hour. And again, I'm not like I don't make bets and don't make bets based on weather alone. But, it should be part of your handicapping. The weather is not exactly in favor of runs to be scored. Now, the fact that the Rockies got, shut out yesterday, to me, is not a big deal. They've been scoring in a bunch of their games recently. We'll call it a hiccup against a really good pitcher. Today, they don't see a really good pitcher. Again, I think that sometimes people want to remember the good Carlos Martinez. And the problem is, and it even looks like the market wants to remember the good Carlos Martinez. Problem is he just hasn't been that. His ERA is decent, but his surface stuff's really not. He's not striking anybody out. Career by far and away career lows in strikeouts. So look, weather's going to play an impact in this game. I don't know if it'll be delayed, not delayed, but the game should play. It's just a matter of, how the weather's going to impact it rain wise. But it's called a lean from me. The Rockies team total over 3. That's currently at -108, I think, on FanDuel. So call that a lean. I do have some value on the Rockies money line, but it's not enough for me to want to fire. As you guys know, always bring the Dunkin' onto the shows. Hopefully you guys are drinking Dunkin' as well. Okay. Next game. Chicago Cubs, Pittsburgh Pirates, Will Crowe, Trevor Williams. Trevor Williams has not been good. This is another similar spot to the Cardinals. The difference here is Will Crowe is very bad. So it makes it very tough to want to feel good about making any bets in favor of the Pirates. Also, the Pirates are not hitting. Okay, so you'll see me want to target teams like the Pirates, like the Tigers, maybe even like the Rockies when they're hitting, because the problem is the market throughout the entire year will just consistently think these are bad teams and just either consistently want to fade them, and that's fine. But much like any sport, baseball is extremely streaky. And these bad teams, they go through streaks where they hit very well, just like good teams go through streaks where they don't hit very well. I love targeting teams like the Pirates when they're hitting well because the market usually doesn't adjust because the public consensus on them is that they're bad. But look, the Pirates are just not hitting. I mean, they have 6 runs over their last 5 games. And no, I'm not speaking incorrectly. So this isn't a spot I want any part of the Pirates. Now, sure, this is a different spot for me than the Cardinals because the Cardinals, first of all, at least have jacked up bats, and the Rockies were at least kind of hitting. In this scenario, while the Cubs haven't exactly been blistering the ball, the Pirates are not hitting at all, which to me makes this line, despite the Cardinals and Cubs lines being very similar, or call 15 cents off from one another. I have more value on the Cubs as a favorite. I don't want to bet the Cubs at this number because I can't lay this number with Trevor Williams, but I have more value on them versus like the Cardinals. Excuse me, just to give you a better example. So this game is a complete layoff spot for me. I want to bet the under, but I'm afraid Will Crow blows up. I'm also afraid that despite the Pirates not hitting at all, Trevor Williams has been very beneficial to hitters this season. So maybe a few guys, find some luck with the sticks today for the Pirates. But again, this team is not hitting. You can't expect them to start. And I'm definitely not going to be playing the Pirates team total like under 3 or under 2.5. I mean, for those that make those bets, like I'm not saying they can't win. Of course they win, and they'll win a decent amount as well, maybe 50%. But those are not fun sweats to have because remember, you basically you need to go. If you're betting a team total under a 2.5 or 3 because you got an elite arm going against a really bad team. Those are not fun sweats because anything can happen. If Team A gets out to a gigantic lead, they start bringing in bad bullpen guys late. It's just not fun bets to make. I'm not saying you should always inevitably bet them over, but you just should very, very, very carefully pick your spots when you decide to bet those under. Pirates team total under today, I guess it wouldn't be a terrible look because they're not hitting, but the market's kind of adjusted to it. So I'm just off this game entirely. I skipped right over Yankees Nationals. So Corey Kluber, Max Scherzer. Am I saying this is Kluber, right? I don't know why, for whatever reason, I thought it was Garrett Cole. It's Kluber, right? Yeah, Kluber. So for me, I really like the Nationals to score runs today. I know it's a little chilly in New York. I'm probably about 40 miles from Yankee Stadium. Chilly, raining. So I don't know how. Look at the weather as well, but I know it's a little cold and it looks like the field's going to be okay. It's raining right now, but that doesn't mean it's raining over there. For me, I like this Nationals lineup. I think that, first of all, I'm by no means a Corey Kluber guy these days anyway. I know he kind of rounded himself out after a few bad starts. And if you remember from my earlier videos, for me, it's all about his velo. I don't know if he's gotten it back up to where he wants it yet. But he's always been a slow starter, Corey Kluber, with his velocity. I'm interested to see if he's gotten it back up. Not really. His numbers are still fairly low in terms of his fastball. Low per his standard, right? I know this Yankees team is tough to step in front of, and I know yesterday they lost, but to me that doesn't really matter. And Stanton's hotter than anybody right now in baseball. It was nice to see LeMahieu, get a dong yesterday because a lot of people have been talking shit about him. Nobody's getting it worse in New York than Lindor, but LeMahieu's kind of fallen off a bit as well. To me, slight value on the Nationals, slight value on their team total over. First of all, I think they get to Kluber here a bit. And look, the problem where I'm not as keen to wanting to bet Nationals is Scherzer has a lot of home run problems, and the Yankees hit a lot of home runs. So it's like the perfect recipe for this Yankees lineup. Like this Yankees lineup likes to play people, likes to play pitchers that throw hard and make mistakes. And that's Max Scherzer. Okay, he'll strike out a lot and he'll probably give up a few home runs today. So, I guess in that case, so I like the over for the full game. I don't want to predict how good or not Scherzer pitches today, but I do think the Nationals get theirs. So I think you could probably get the Nats at 3.5 dog money, maybe, right? So 3.5 slight dog money. Very slightly in there in favor of the Nats. And not enough for me to want to target it, though. So Giants-Padres, Kevin Gausman versus Joe Musgrove. Two pitchers that have been absolutely outstanding this season. The issue with Joe Musgrove in particular is he primarily needs to face a team that loves to swing at balls outside the strike zone. When he's not getting misses outside the strike zone, he finds it very difficult for him to get outs. This Giants team is more or less a middle of the pack team in that regard. I mean, they're a little better versus left-handed pitching, but middle of the pack in that regard. Kevin Gausman has been tremendous. I'm interested to see how he does all year long, because the Gausman was a very big prospect back in his Orioles days, and he just like never really panned out to be, I think, what people had hoped. He was a good pitcher, but never like really good. His numbers now are like really good, and I'm interested to see if he can sustain it. His advanced stuff is about double what his surface stuff is, so regression's coming, but how bad, I don't know. For me, this would be a very, very small lean in favor of the home team and the Giants. And it's not that I don't think first of all, this is probably my least favorite of the games I've given out thus far. But the only reason I mainly lean the Giants, more or less be first five more than anything, is I think Musgrove needs to make some adjustments. I know that he's been good. I just think that if you watch him pitch and you watch him pitch against certain teams, when he's not getting swinging misses, he severely struggles to find outs. This Giants team isn't exactly free swinging. I mean, they're somewhere in the middle of the pack, but I think Gausman continues to throw well. So for me, I very slightly lean Giants first five specifically, money line. Okay, so Athletics Rays, and this is going to be my best bet. But before I go into that, I'll answer some of the questions. What's up, Eric? Trevor Williams much better at home. That's a good point, Bobby. Thoughts on D-back? I'll get to D-backs, Christian. Bet over 8. Let's hope for a few long balls. Yankees, that's over as well. Under first 5. So I don't like anything specifically to total. I think the Nats score, if that helps you, Carlos or Billy. I don't want to predict what the Yankees do today. Again, to me, it's all about the long ball. Scherzer gives them up, and the Yankees hit them. So you would figure a few balls land in the stands today, but this isn't exactly a fun day to play baseball. Again, a little chilly here in New York. So just my perspective. What's up, Ricky? What's up, Ray? All right, so best bet here. Athletics Rays. Now, this is for a few reasons. So the bet I debated on giving out yesterday that I didn't, and it would have lost anyway, would have been Royals grabbing a half-run first 5. Now that would have lost in dramatic fashion with a 2-out home run by the White Sox in the 5th inning. But to me, and the reason why was just a value spot for the Royals first 5. This is another what I would consider a very strong value spot in favor of the Athletics, and it's full game for me. So we saw yesterday the Athletics won in walk-off fashion, and Manaea threw a one-hitter. I could care less, to be honest. If anything, that makes me like this play less. Because teams often bounce back after bad performances like that. This Athletics team is hitting, though. I know that they faced Rich Hill yesterday, a crafty lefty, and Rich Hill was kind of, I don't want to say he was due for a really good start, but he's been getting a little unlucky, and he was kind of due for a good start. So it doesn't I'm not like deterred from this bet, because now they face a better arm in Glass now, and it's like, oh, well, if Rich Hill shut this team down Glass now, I'm sure will, but to me, this line is just incorrect. It's probably off by about 15, 20 cents, maybe a little more. Tampa Bay should be favored in this game, but they should not be a minus 135 favorite. So they get Fairbanks back yesterday from the pen, which was big for them, right? After about a month out. And this pen has been dealing with injuries, and they still are. Castillo's out, and I think they're missing another 1 or 2 guys as well. This bullpen, I'd argue, is bottom 10 in baseball right now, maybe even worse. You're not going to see, and again, this has nothing to do with their opening day roster. This has to do with what they're currently playing or what they're fielding, right? So, and I know I'm kind of talking this game in reverse. Right? I'm talking the bullpens first, but the Athletics bullpen is not great, but I'd argue right now it's better than the Rays. Okay, so one check mark in favor of the Oakland Athletics. Bats, for me, it's not even close. Oakland has better bats up and down the lineup. Tampa Bay is also really not hitting well at all. If you look up and down this team's lineup, especially in the game yesterday, obviously they showed that. Now they had a good series against the Angels, but the Angels don't have pitching. So it's like, how much do you make of that? And like I said, you just look up and down this lineup and the very low slugging numbers, a bunch of low averages. Just not anything you like love seeing. And look, not that you ever expect Tampa Bay to be a great hitting team anyway. They get by with good pitching and a great bullpen, but we can give another checkbox in favor of Oakland. Now, which team's home, which team's road? Oakland's at home. Now, how much you weigh in home field advantage in this day and age is probably very little, right? But it is still another check mark in favor of Oakland. Now, the starting pitchers, right? So, of course, the favorite, Tyler Glasnow is definitely the better pitcher than Frankie Montas. But Montas is much better than his 5.87 ERA. I mean, this dude is a really good pitcher. His advanced stuff has him in the low fours. Tyler Glasnow's advanced stuff has him in the low threes. So, when you really break down their advanced stuff, they're really not much different. And Glasnow's in his last few recent starts has been getting hit hard. I'm not so much concerned with how many runs he's given up or not. His exit velo is slowly going up, and it's much higher than it was to start the season. I'm not sure if his throwing velocity is fine, but he's just getting hit harder. So it's almost like teams are starting to figure him out. And remember, Oakland just saw Tyler Glasnow a few maybe a week and a half ago, and I know he shut them out, but to me, that's favor Oakland. And I know Montas also faced Tampa, so you'd figure an extra advantage for Tampa. Montas didn't pitch that well in that start. I think we get a better start from him here. And again, you're just getting inherent value here. So overall, we'll call it the long story short. I really like Oakland plus 125. That's my best bet for this show. And I know it's not an easy bet for you to want to go to the window with or log into any sports book and make, but to me, it's a pure value bet. This line is about 20 cents off, and it's an auto fire for me. So Athletics plus 125. I got that at DraftKings in New Jersey. Fine. Athletics money line. Thoughts. I'll just pick up a few more questions. So Yanks, Nats, 3 runs each plus 145 is interesting. That's not bad, Robert. Again, I just don't want to try to predict what the Yankees do today. You would figure the Yankees should be automatic to get 3 runs, right? You'd figure. But I believe it or not, I like the Nats' chances more to get 3 runs today. So I can't mind that bet at all. But I'll tell you this, if you really like the Yankees to score 3, I really like the Nats to score 3. So maybe that'll help you make the bet. The bottom 5 of the Yankees lineup. There's a lot worse though, Airwato, a lot worse than who the Yankees are putting at the bottom of their lineup. What do you think about all the no-hitters this year? Crazy as it sounds, Bobby. I just think we're in the middle of a brief coincidence in sports. I mean, Wade Miley throwing a no-hitter is kind of egregious, to be honest. Look, he pitched great and kudos, but I'll let the sample get a little bigger because it is kind of crazy how many no-hitters there recently have been, right? What's up, Willie? Thanks for checking in properly. What do I think about the over-under? Lean, very lightly lean Leroy under the number in Oakland. I think it's 7.5 or 8. Yeah, I don't love it. It's not favorable enough for me, but very small lean under. Yeah. So again, Oakland plus 125 behind Montes versus Glasnow. I really like that bet. Okay, so Tigers Twins. Jose Urena versus Jose Berrios. What do you make of? So I'll start with Berrios. Obviously one of the better pitchers in the American League, and he started out pretty well. His advanced stuff defends him pretty much right on cue. So he's fine. Now, he's often been better at home versus on the road. This is a road start. What I find interesting is the Detroit Tigers are hitting. Damon, it's one shirt. It's all one shirt. The Detroit Tigers are hitting. So if you want to bet the Twins today, in my opinion, you're better off betting the over, because the Detroit Tigers are currently a bad team that is hitting the baseball. If you look up and down their recent scores, and granted, some of them have been like from errors, and they all haven't they haven't exactly quote unquote earned their runs, all of them. But you look up and down. 3 runs, 9 runs, 6 runs, 7 runs, or 5 runs, 7 runs. They're in the middle of a stretch where they're hitting. So, could that just stop today at home against Berrios? Maybe. I don't think so though. It's very slight lean for me over their team total. It should be 3, maybe a flat 3. To me, I like the spot with them. They're hitting. They've scored 3 runs in their last 4 or 5 games in a row. And again, I'm not that scared off by Berrios. So call it a very slight lean for me. Detroit over their team total at 3 runs. I don't want to talk on what the Twins lineup should do against Urea, but that would be my lean. Okay, next game. Cleveland Indians, Cincinnati Reds, Luis Castillo, Aaron Savale. Yeah, so this is not a good spot for Luis Castillo. And my issue, though, is the market is starting to react to the poorer version of Luis Castillo. Now, Luis Castillo's ERA is 6.07, but he's better than this, right? I say this, I feel like I say this whenever I have the opportunity to talk about Luis Castillo on these shows or any shows for that matter. You want to target Luis Castillo when he's pitching at home and when he's pitching in warm weather. Okay, to me, you can basically add an extra 30 or 40 cents to whatever your numbers are for what the line should be when Luis Castillo is home and Luis Castillo is pitching in warm weather. So here, Luis Castillo is on the road and Luis Castillo is pitching in cold weather. These are two big no-nos. Now, Aaron Savale, I don't want to say Savale's smoke and mirrors because he's had a good year, right? But he's kind of smoke and mirrors. I don't want to say it, but he kind of is, right? His advanced stuff has him in the mid fours, and he's not exactly a pitcher that warrants this type of line. So this is why this game is a completely off spot for me. You have a pitcher in Savale who doesn't deserve the line so it doesn't deserve to be a favorite against a pitcher like Castillo. But there's the other angle to this where the Indians are hitting. Now, the Indians yesterday completely went quiet. But before that game, they've been really reeling off. They had like 4 runs in like 7 or 8 straight games. They've been really hitting well. And this game, there's just too many things that for me, too many arrows going in too many different directions for me to really want to lock in on anything. So it's going to be an off spot for me. But again, tread lightly because Luis Castillo, the market's starting to kind of sniff him out. So it's kind of, the numbers they're presenting here are fair. Like for instance, if this was like an opening day game, you'd figure the line would be maybe more of a pick 'em, right? -110. Said Cleveland's -120. So you could tell the market's already starting to sniff out Luis Castillo. And it's pretty obvious with his 6.07 ERA, right? But this would be a stay away spot for me entirely. All right. So Marlins, Brewers. So Adrian Hauser, undecided for the unless you guys can see it somewhere, but I don't see anybody currently who's tagged for the Marlins right now. So I guess it's not even worth it for me. Look, the Marlins are hitting though, so just something to consider. Whoever you're going to back, they're again another call it a below average team that's doing well with the sticks. So use that however you'd like, but without the other starting pitcher, I won't even go into this game. Okay, so Red Sox, Orioles, Zach Lothar, Garrett Richards. Garrett Richards, what do we make of him? So a bit of Jekyll and Hyde, right? I think that coming into the year, I was a Garrett Richards guy. I used to like what I saw from him in Anaheim, and I felt like in San Diego he wasn't good, but what the sample size was fairly small. This year in Boston, so he starts out terrible, and he's kind of really rounded out into form his last few starts. Now, maybe he builds on it here against a bad Orioles team, or maybe he goes back to his, we'll call it, he regresses back to the mean. He's been good recently, though, and I think that good recently is why he's a road -130 favorite here. Now, Lothar, correct here, guy's only thrown 1 inning this year. This is a bullpen game for Baltimore, I guess. I think he's only thrown 1 total inning. Let me just confirm. Yeah, he's thrown 1 inning. So this is a bullpen game for Baltimore. And Boston's not exactly a team you want to fade when they're going up against a bullpen game for a bad bullpen or against a bad bullpen, right? So, yeah, I guess we'll call it a small lean for me in favor of the over 9. It is not the weather is not exactly fun, though. It can't be fun. I can't assume. Let me just confirm. This game's in Baltimore. Yeah, so 58 degrees, wind blowing. I guess that's east. 50 miles. Yeah, it's not exactly like bad weather, but it's not great weather either. Very slight lean over because I just think Garrett Richards begins to regress to a median or back to the median. And a bullpen day from Baltimore to me means Boston's going to score runs. Yeah, how many? Who knows, but Boston's going to get guys on base today. So, yeah, call a small lean over the number 9. Next up, Texas Rangers, Seattle Mariners, Kohei Arihara, who I tend to bring up often on these, versus Eric Swanson. Is Swanson making first start this year? No. another bullpen guy. Starting pitchers are pretty egregious to label him that. So they'll probably go 2 or 3 innings with Swanson and then bring in a few more bullpen guys. So this is a big number. I'll be honest. So at 9, and what's interesting is like yesterday, a lot of people I think liked the game under. I think at least from the numbers I saw, and it pushed right if you got 9 because I think 8.5 was floating there for a bit. And so now 9 again. Look, I'm not an Orihara guy, but I just think he's better than he's looked. And if Seattle's going to throw a bullpen game at Texas, to me, you can neutralize a lot of Texas bats by throwing a few lefty bullpen arms their way. So I very slightly lean this game under the number at 9. It's a big number for this park. The Texas Ranger ballpark is not what it used to be. Not by any means in terms of this game. This park used to have consistent 10.5 as totals, and that's not the case anymore. But yeah, call it a slight lean under the number. I think that Seattle can platoon a bunch of these big lefty bats for the Rangers, and I think Orihara throws a pretty decent game today against Seattle. Okay, so Mets Diamondbacks. So Joey Lucchesi versus Merrill Kelly. This is a tough game for me for a few different reasons because the Mets are winning games, right? Like even games that they shouldn't be winning, they're winning. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are losing games they should be winning. Perfect example is last night, right? I think they were up 4-0 or 3-1 or 4-1, and they still lost. You can't put a price, in my opinion, it's very difficult to put an accurate price on a team that's playing well against a team that's not playing well, right? Because when you start arguing about value, well, you look at this number and there's got to be value in the Diamondbacks, right? Merrill Kelly's a better pitcher than Joey Lucchesi. But the Mets are winning right now. The Mets are finding ways to win games, and the Diamondbacks are not. So with that said, and the arrows going in those directions, it pushes me off. Now, as far as this total goes, I'll be honest. Like this is probably like my second or third strongest play in this video. I really like this game under. So total's 8. And I know you have 2 bad pitchers, or at least surface-wise bad pitchers, but Lucchesi's better than his 10 ERA for sure, and Merrill Kelly's definitely better than his 6 ERA. And the Mets are one of the worst hitting teams in baseball. I know they're kind of finding some life a bit, but they're one of the worst hitting teams in baseball right now. And the Diamondbacks, Diamondbacks have some decent righties, but they have better lefties, at least with pop. So Lucchesi should be able to neutralize them a bit. Lucchesi's just such a tough pitch to watch with how much he walks guys. But overall, I really like this under. So call it my strongest lean on this video. Under 8 Diamondbacks Mets. Next game, Royals White Sox again. So Daniel Lynch versus Lance Lynn. Lynch, is he? So they're another one they call him a starter. I say call him a starter because these guys don't really ever eat more than 5 innings. So this is one of those spots where it's almost tough to not want to bet the White Sox like for everything. So Daniel Lynch is a below average lefty. The White Sox just have so many right-handed bats. And Lance Lynn is just so good, especially against right-handed bats. And the Royals are filled with right-handed bats. But, with all that said, it's melted into the market, right? That's why Lance Lynn's minus 160 in this spot. So yeah, it's a stay away spot for me. I mean, interesting enough, think about this for a second. So this total's 9. I mean, yesterday the total was 8.5, and I'd argue the 2 collective arms going yesterday, were better, and then now you throw 2 other arms and the numbers a half run higher. So overall, though, it'll call it a small lean for me in favor of the over, but very, very, very small lean. I don't love it though. And you got to punch the White Sox in for runs against Lynch from the left side. And Lance Lynn's been good, but he hasn't been this good. And the Royals tend to hit righties pretty well anyway. So slight lean, but again, nothing crazy in this game for me at all. Astros Blue Jays, Christian Javier versus Steven Matz. Steven Matz had a decent start to the year and kind of has begun the regression trip. And it's always scary, right? You throw a left-hander at the Astros on the road, especially a left-hander that's very susceptible to right-handed bats. Christian Javier has been good, but he hasn't been as good as that ERA says. So what do you make of it? So first of all, the Astros played really well yesterday. I liked what I saw for their bat specifically, and not that I didn't expect them to hit well in that spot, but I liked what I saw. And this team is starting to find some life again as they've gotten healthier. And the Blue Jays, I don't want to say the Blue Jays are in a skid, but they kind of go up and down, or they've been up and down throughout the season thus far. I think people expect them to be better than their 16-15 record thus far, right? So total of 9. To me, I have fair. To me, there's no value here on either side for the over. And as far as the game goes, I actually, believe it or not, I actually capped this a little less than the Houston 140 number that's currently. So I guess call it a slight value in favor of Toronto, but not anything that I love by any means. Call it I'm 5 cents off the current market, so it's not anything worth firing on my behalf. So we'll just move on. Braves, Phillies. So Ian Anderson, Vince Velasquez, total of 9. What do you make of the start yesterday? So Charlie Morton, it's funny. This is how the game of baseball can kind of get away from you really quickly. So yesterday he strikes out Bryce Harper, which would have been 2 outs, no one on base. Not Bryce Harper. Rhys Hoskins, which would have been strike 3, 2 outs, with Bryce Harper coming up for his first at bat in a week and a half, and the ball gets past the catcher, and then Bryce Harper gets kind of like squeezed into a walk with a very, very good call that probably could have gone either way, or a few borderline calls that could have gone either way. And then Charlie Morton just unravels from there. So it's kind of crazy how baseball can get to you like that. Now, Ian Anderson has done well since his start of the year, but his advanced stuff's not very good. And I'm not saying that he can't make some adjustments and change some things. But he doesn't deserve to be a minus 160 favorite in this spot against this Phillies lineup with Bryce Harper returning. Now, the problem is Vince Velasquez, especially on the road, has had his issues throughout his career. So it's not something you love in that respect. But for me, call it a slight lean, or a little bigger than a slight lean, actually. Philly first 5, grabbing a half run. The Braves, again, Ian Anderson has no business being 160 in this spot. I think you're getting a big bias here in favor of Atlanta and in favor of Ian Anderson here. And I think Philly grabbing a half run makes a lot of sense, first 5. But again, just not a bet I'm going to fire. Well, let me be honest. If this bet were to move another 10 or 15 cents, it'll definitely be a fire for me. But at this number, no, it's not a jump in. Okay, so Angels Dodgers last game. Dylan Bundy, Clayton Kershaw. Who would have thought, right? I think the Dodgers. What did the Dodgers start out? 13-2, right? Did they start out 13-2? I think they're currently 17-16. And what last year was just don't even think twice about it. Just run line Dodgers every game, and you're gonna be a boatload up at the end of the year. If you took that same theory and put it into play this year, it has not been a good start for you by any means. And they're not hitting. They're not hitting. So I don't know how or why you would want to bet the Dodgers right now. They are just not hitting the baseball. So sure, they have Kershaw going, and Dylan Bundy is definitely has his bad starts against good hitting teams. But look, a team like the Dodgers is going to go through a stretch like this in every year. Every team does. It doesn't mean the Dodgers are a bad team, or they're going through a stretch that they'll get over. They'll be fine. But right now they're not hitting. So if you're betting them now, thinking, oh, there's value. This line has value. It might, but they're seeing stars at the plate. A bunch of their best hitters are all seeing stars at the plate right now. So it's very difficult to feel good about laying this money, and you're always gonna get that extra Dodger tax anyway. But yeah, call it Angels first 5 plus a half run, a lean, and not a bet I like though, because while I do feel like the market's always gonna pat a few extra cents in favor of the Dodgers, this number is starting to come back to earth. Okay, so at some point there's gonna be some value in the Dodgers, but again, you got to catch that value once you start to see them find some life with their sticks. Could be tonight. Won't be enough here in this spot for me to want to back the Angels or the Dodgers at this number, or the total, to be honest. But overall, going to be a stay away spot. So that recaps the video. I'll just fast forward up, see if I missed any questions from you guys. So O-Sox, full game over 9. Very slight lean for me, Willie, there. I really didn't like what I saw yesterday. So I know I bet the over yesterday, and you could, sure, if you were going to be if you were going to be optimistic on your own bets, I guess you could say that there was a lot of missed opportunities or squandered opportunities, but I don't, to me, it could have been better for sure. So very slight lean. Under Jays, more than under Jays over under 8 Jays over 9. I'm not sure what that means, Brian. You got some out. Yeah, it's all about the Vikings, Adam. You see it. Viking swag. Morning, JJ, 2.5. Thanks, Quentin, for checking in properly. Best bet for today. So I put up in the chat earlier. It's Oakland money line plus 125. Got that at DraftKings. Atlanta team total over 4.5 over in game. Don't mind it. Don't mind that. But again, I'm more on the Philly side in that game. And Braves first 5 is not a spot. I'm definitely more or less on the other side, Willie. Now that doesn't mean Braves can't come through it. I don't have it favorable enough where I love it, but it's definitely my third favorite lean from this video, or third strongest lean, next to the Mets under. So again, guys, thank you all for watching. Went through these games pretty quick. Hopefully, it's helped you in your your process for betting any of these games today. I'll be back tomorrow with Joey and Holden talking the slate as a team, as a unit. Also, be sure to check out Joey gave you a free play for today as well in the Baltimore game. Hold please. So be sure if you haven't checked that out. And look, guys, as always, like all the vids. Spread's been doing great with the NBA videos, and Tyler as well. Astros video was what he gave out. So be sure to like all these videos and help us out, help us grow. We do a lot of decent content for you. I assume my dad's not going to be part of the video tomorrow, Willie. He was happy to fill in yesterday, but nothing really from there. Yeah, you guys got it. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Willie. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, Twatty. So yeah, guys, look, as always, gamble responsibly. Thanks again for watching, and stay safe, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.